Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the second chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And in this chapter we'll be discussing that how this sexual reproduction occurs in case of plants and what are the different things we need to know. Before we move deep into this particular subject, let us remind that this sexual reproduction is a very complex process in which two parents are required, and in this process three different steps are involved. One is pre-fertilization event, the second one is fertilization, the third one is post-fertilization event, right? Now pre-fertilization event again contains of two different things. One is gametogenesis, the second one is gamete transfer, whereas post-fertilization event involves zygote formation and embryogenesis. So we have already discussed about all these things in the first chapter lectures, so we are not going to go deep inside this particular section. If you haven't gone through those videos, I will recommend to go through those videos because each and everything has a link. We have cleared our basic concepts from in the first chapter. Now in the second chapter we'll be developing our concept on the basis of those basic things what we have already studied. Now the first thing first is this process of sexual reproduction. In case of the plants, the sexual reproductive part of the plant is the flower. Okay, so several hormones and structural changes inside the plant's body results in the formation of this flower. Okay, now what is inflorescence? Inflorescence means the position of the flower and the position of the flower bud is called inflorescence. Now you might be thinking, sir, what is the need of this inflorescence? It's very important. In order to understand that what kind of inflorescence a plant has, we can easily detect that how the reproduction process occurs in these kind of plants. Okay, so it is very important to understand the position of the flower and the position of the bud in order to understand their reproduction patterns. Clear? Now this flower, as I have said, that this flower is the reproductive part of the plant. This flower contains four different structures: androecium, gynoecium, calyx and corolla. Okay, it contains what? Androecium, gynoecium, calyx and corolla. These are the four parts of a flower. What are those? Repeat with me: calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Among those four structures, the two main structures are present inside the flower which takes part in the process of sexual reproduction is androecium, which is the male part, and gynoecium, which is the female part. Clear? Now let us move ahead and see what we have here in case of androecium. We'll be totally discussing about androecium first, then about gynoecium, and then about the process of formation of different gametes, the male gametes, that is the pollen grain, and the female gametes, that is the ovule. Okay, so the first one is what? Androecium. Androecium is the male part of the flower. In case of the androecium, there are two different structures. One is the filament. If you see this diagram, you will see it contains a filamentous structure which is represented with the term A, which is represented by this term A, right? A means what? A means this filament, the long slender stalk like structure, and the second one is this B, which is what? It is the anther or the bilobed structure. Clear? Among these two structure, what is the function of this filament? It helps the what can I say? It helps the androecium, it helps the male part anther, which will be producing all the pollen grains to stick out of the flower. Okay, so let us imagine this is a flower. Let us imagine this is a flower. Okay, so this is I want the androecium to go out of this flower, so I need a stalk like structure. This stalk like structure is called filament, and at the top of it we have what? We have the anther. Clear? So out of these two structures, the most important structure which is needed for the process of reproduction is anther. So we'll be discussing about anther right now. Anther is a bilobed structure. Let me bring it a bit more so that you can see the diagram also along with it. Yeah, so anther is what? Anther is a bilobed structure, and each lobe contains dithecus. Listen to each and everything very carefully. Now this is where it is becoming important. We are going to study the structure or the anatomy and morphology of this androecium. And which part of the androecium? That is the anther of the androecium. So what is this anther? Anther is basically a bilobed structure. It contains two lobes. If you see this diagram very carefully, you will see that here we have two different lobes. You can see the cross-sectional points I have drawn. Okay, these cross-sectional points are very important. If you see this longitudinal line, you will see one part of the anther is present on this side, one part of the anther is present on this side. These two sides are called what? They are called lobes of the anther. That is why each anther is bilobed, right? And each lobe is dithecous. That means it contains two theca. If you see the diagram carefully, you will see in each of the lobes there are two different sections. You can see these two, and I have also represented them as theca 1, theca 2, theca 1 prime and theca 2 prime. So each of the anther contains two lobes. This is a single lobe, this is a single lobe, whereas each lobe contains two theca. This is a single theca, this is another single theca. Clear? The thecas are separated by a longitudinal groove which is running lengthwise. It is separated by a groove-like structure. It is not totally separated. If you see the diagram carefully, it is not totally separated. There is a gap between them, right? So it is separated with each other with a longitudinal groove which is running in the lengthwise direction. The third one is what? The microsporangia is located in each corners of two in each theca. Listen to it very carefully. So this is a theca, this is a theca. Let me number them. This is theca number 1, this is theca number 2, this is theca number 3, this is theca number 4. So we have how many thecas? 4 thecas. How many lobe? 2 lobe. In each lobe we have 2 theca. That is why we have 4 thecas, right? Inside each of these theca, how many microsporangia are found? There are 2 microsporangia. Where they are found? They are located at the corners. They are located at what? They are located at the corners. So each of the theca contain how many microsporangia? 2 microsporangia. What is the function of this microsporangia? This microsporangia will further develop into pollen sacs which will contain the pollen grains. Listen to it very carefully. This is the total anther. Clear? This is a lobe, this is another lobe. Clear? Each of the lobe contains 2 theca. This is one theca, this is another theca. Same here, this is one theca, this is another theca. Clear? Each of these theca contains microsporangia. How many microsporangia? 2 microsporangia. What is the function of this microsporangia? Microsporangia will develop into pollen sac which contains the pollen grains. Clear? So this is about the basic thing regarding the anther. So let us revise it once again. Anther is a bilobed structure. See this diagram and I will dictate you what is written out here. So it will be easier for you to understand. Each anther contains 2 lobes, 1 lobe, 2 lobe. Each lobe contains 2 theca, 1 theca, 2 theca. Similarly here also 1 theca, 2 theca. They are separated by a longitudinal groove. They are not separated from each other totally. They have a gap between them. That is why we say that they are separated by a longitudinal groove. Clear? In each of these theca, how many microsporangia are found? 2 microsporangia are found in each theca. 2 microsporangia are found in each theca. Clear? What is the function of this microsporangia? This microsporangia will develop to form what? They will develop to form pollen sac, inside which what will be present? Pollen grains will be present. Clear? So now next what we are going to see is the structure of each of these microsporangia. Once more. Single anther, 2 lobe. In each lobe, how many theca are present? 2. So I can write it like this. One anther, 2 lobes. How many theca? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 theca. 4 theca. And how many microsporangia? In each of them, how many are found? 2 are found. So 4 into 2, 8. 8 microsporangia. Clear? So now we are going to see the structure of each of these microsporangia. Okay, so let us see what we have. So now we are going to see the structure of each of these microsporangia. I have written few things since I cannot bring the field on one single go. So I'll show you these written thing once and then I'll show you the diagram, and while showing you the diagram, I'll explain each and everything. So the microsporangium contains 4 layers. How many layers does it contain? It contains 4 layers. It contains how many layers? 4 layers. Okay, a single microsporangium. Remember once again, one anther, how many lobes? 2 lobes. Repeat with me fast. One anther, how many lobes? 2 lobes. in each lobe, how many theca are present? 2 theca. So in total, how many thecas? 2 into 2, that is 4, right? So how many thecas are there? 4 thecas. In each of the theca, 2 microsporangia are found, correct? So in total anther, how many microsporangia are found? 4 into 2. Why 4 into 2? Because there are 4 thecas, and in each theca we have 2 microsporangia. So 4 into 2, that is 8 microsporangium are found in one single anther. Clear? Now in case of these microsporangium, how many layers are found? There are 4 different layers. What are the 4 different layers? From outside to inside. Always remember, whenever we are discussing about these layers, layers are always defined from outside to inside. From outside to inside. So from outside to inside, what are the 4 layers of microsporangium? The first layer is epidermis. The second one is endothecium. Third one is middle layer. Fourth one is teptum. Very simple. You can remember it by the term EEMT. The first E stands for epidermis, second one for endothecium, third one for middle layer, and fourth one is for teptum. The outer 3 layers are called the protective layers and helps in the release of pollen grain. The outer 3 layers, which outer 3 layers? Epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer. These 3 layers helps in what? They helps in protecting the whole microsporangium, and it helps also in the release of pollen grains. Clear? What is the function of teptum? What are the 4 layers? Epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, teptum. Repeat with me once again. Epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, teptum. So outer 3 layers means what? Epidermis, endothecium, middle layer. These 3 layers are the protective layers and they help in the release of pollen grains. Whereas this teptum, what is the function of this teptum? Teptum provides nourishment to the developing pollen grains. The pollen grains which are developing, they needs nourishment. Those cells needs nourishment, and those nourishment is being provided by whom? It is being provided by this teptum. Clear? In case of young anther, the sporogenous tissue forms the center of microsporangium. Very important thing, very important thing. So a complete microsporangium, if I show you the diagram of a complete microsporangium, a section of the diagram, then you will see what? We have the outermost layer epidermis, then endothecium, then middle layer, then teptum, and finally the central part of it is filled up with what? It is filled up with sporogenous tissue. Once again, with what? Sporogenous tissue. Let us revise it once again. If we see a microsporangium, how many layers it will have? 4 layers. What are the 4 layers? Epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, teptum. Epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer serves as a protecting layer, whereas teptum gives nourishment. Nourishment to whom? To the developing pollen grain. Where from these pollen grains are developed? This sporogenous tissue develops the pollen grain. Clear? It's very simple, very simple thing, not a rocket science to understand. So in case of a single microsporangium, what are the 4 layers? Epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, teptum. The outer 3 layers, epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, they serve as a protective layer. Teptum provides as a nourishment layer, and sporogenous tissue produces the pollen grains. Clear? So next up what we have, how this sporogenous tissue produces the pollen grain. How this sporogenous tissue produces the pollen grain, that is what we are going to see now. The process by which, listen to it very carefully, the process by which these pollen grains are formed, is called microsporogenesis. Very simple, very simple. Try to understand. Microsporangium. Microsporangium contains 4 layers: epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, teptum. Inside the teptum, we have a tissue that is called sporogenous tissue. Now, this tissue is going to produce the pollen grain, and the process of formation of this pollen grain is called what? It is called microsporogenesis. What is it? Microsporogenesis. Once again, repeat with me. What is it? Microsporogenesis. Fine. So it is what? It is the process of formation of microspore from pollen mother cell. The cells of the sporogenous tissue undergoes meiosis to form microspore tetrad. Listen to it very carefully. Remember, I have shown you this diagram. At the central part of this whole Microsporangia, what is present? Sporogenous tissue is present. Now this is sporogenous tissue. The cells that are present inside this sporogenous tissue, they undergo which process? They undergo meiosis to form what? To form 4 microspore cells. To form what? To form 4 microspore cells. That is called microspore tetrad. Okay, each cell of the sporogenous tissue, try to understand, a tissue is made up of a lump of cells. Each cells of the sporogenous tissue has the capacity to rise to a tetrad. Hence each of the cells are called what? Pollen mother cell. Each of the cells are called what? They are called pollen mother cell. Whose cells are called pollen mother cell? Sporogenous tissue. Once again, the sporogenous tissue is a tissue. That means it is made up of a similar kind of cells. All the cells has the capability to divide and produce 4 microspore cells. Hence they are called what? They are called pollen mother cell. As the anther matures, these microspores gets detached from each other and develop into a pollen grain. Try to understand. This is a pollen mother cell. This cell came from where? This cell came from this place. This cell came from this sporogenous tissue. So a sporogenous tissue is made up of numerous cells. Out of those numerous cells, we are seeing only one single cell right now. So this is our pollen mother cell. This pollen mother cell divides by the process of meiosis and produces 4 haploid cells. Each of these 4 haploid cells are called microspore, and 4 of them together is called what? Microspore tetrad. This microspore tetrad, when the anther becomes matured, when the time comes to reproduce, at that point of time, this microspore tetrads gets detached from each other and they form pollen grains. Clear? So once again, a single anther contains how many lobes? A single anther contains how many lobes? A single anther contains 2 lobes. Very good. In each of the lobe, how many theca are present? 2 theca are present. Very good. So how many total thecas are present inside an anther? 4 thecas. Very good. In each theca, how many microsporangia are found? There are 2 microsporangia. Very good. So how many microsporangia is found inside a single anther? 4 into 2, that is 8. In case of a single microsporangia, what are the layers? Epidermis, endothecum, middle layer, teptum. Inside this teptum, we have a tissue that is called sporogenous tissue. Epidermis, endothecum, middle layer acts as a protective layer. Epidermis, endothecum, middle layer acts as a protective layer. Teptum provides nutrition. To whom? To the pollen grains that are produced from this sporogenous tissue by the process called microsporogenesis. In case of microsporogenesis, what happens? The pollen mother cell, which is coming from this sporogenous tissue, divides meiotically to produce 4 haploid cells, and each of these cells are called microspore. 4 of them together are called what? Microspore tetrad. Clear? Each of these microspore tetrad, or each of these cells that are present inside this microspore tetrad during the development develops into a pollen grain. Clear? So in the next class, we'll be discussing about the structure of the pollen grain, and then we will move on to the female reproductive part, that is the gynoecium. Clear? So I will recommend all of you to listen to these lectures, ask your doubts, write your doubts in the comments below. I will take your doubts, as I have mentioned earlier also, and read your book, and these things will help you out to have a better understanding regarding this particular chapter. Clear? So thank you all of you. See you in the next video, next class, and till then, stay safe at your homes and enjoy studying.